Call the Finance Committee meeting to order for Monday, March 25th, 2019. The first item I have on tonight's agenda is Resolution 4719. That's a resolution to appropriate in the LDOT Fund 208 to make an unplanned repair replacement purchase. This is coming through Public Works. Mr. Schoonover.
Well, Mr. Hintz is on it.
Oh, well, hello, Greg.
Good evening. I don't know if any of you have noticed, but at Columbus and Fair, we had an accident here about 3 weeks ago, and hit traffic full box running around, and it's created quite a bit of damage, so we're going to have to replace that box. That span's been in service since mid-80s. That whole area, so we run into some problems with the cabling. We're losing some signals from some of the cables because of the letter shafts and so forth. So it's just not a real conducive setup right there. So we're going to rebuild the whole intersection. Part of the problem with that intersection, it's a 4-phase cabinet, so it doesn't allow all 4 legs coming into the intersection. We're going to we'll put an 8-phase cabinet up, so protected turns coming into all 4 phases of the intersection, so that if you're going westbound on Fair Avenue, you know how you have to move the middle lane to go through. Well, that will be the left turn lane when we're finished. So the whole intersection will get new poles, mast arms, everything goes underground. So we're it's just going to be a cleaner look. This will. I got 20,000 in my project line item in my budget. I need an additional 30. I've got the mast arms, poles, and everything's going to be 20, and then miscellaneous signal heads, pedestrian head signals, so on and so forth. That will all come pretty close to about, it's like 29.9, and then we still have to contract with contractor to do the underground work. We're just going to have everything bored in to make sure that I don't need to open cut and mess up traffic anymore than we already do. So that's the gist of this legislation. We get 3 readings on it.
Well, let's see if we have any questions first. Any questions for Mr. Hintz? Mr. Woodard.
Okay. You've explained, I guess, the 50,000, the 20, and the something about we have to contract. Is that going to be paid for, or?
I'll pay for that out of my budget.
That's already taken care of.
I'm taking care of that part out of my budget.
Okay, no problem. I just heard that coming up, and I wanted to clarify that.
It's just the hardware items that I didn't have enough money for.
Okay.
Further questions? Mrs. Bobbitt.
Do we have any insurance at all involved here?
It doesn't appear so. It's still under investigation right now, but it doesn't appear that we're going to be able to pull any insurance money on this.
Okay.
If we did, it would come back to you.
Yes.
And it won't be for the full intersection. It would just be for the damage that we're attributing.
So on.
Other questions? Very good. Seeing none. I heard 3 readings, correct? And I believe that Mrs. Bobbitt's the second on this. Very good. Thanks, sir. We've got 3 readings on 4719. Next item I have is 4919. That's a resolution to authorize the Service Safety Director to advertise for bids and enter into multiple construction agreements for the Rock Mill Phase 2 Part 3 development project in support of Project GWN, which we now know is Magna. Very good. So this is coming through Public Works. Mr. Schoonover.
So this can go 3 readings, and Mitch, I lied, you can come up and help out. So it's a little different than normal asks because we're asking to go out for multiple bids because the timing and the time crunch on this is, if that's how I explained it correctly.
So obviously we've been working at this for a little while here and trying to work through the timing on various pieces of infrastructure out here for the Rock Mill Corporate Park. And so the reason why we have multiple bids is just giving us flexibility because of the certain things that infrastructure that may need to be in place at certain times to accommodate the new business being out there. And so it could be maybe 3 separate bids at multiple times, but the total project amount is the $2.4 million. And that's the difference in this. It's not just one big going out for bid.
My question is there some sort of, at some point, would be more like a public timeline of events and things that need to be done? Because I know they want to do a fairly quick ramp up, and maybe that's a question for the mayor.
Hopefully, sometime there will be, but we have not been authorized to release any of that, and the company will say they don't know.
They said that a lot today.
They said a lot today, but they also didn't say a lot that we hoped they would say, but we're still under restrictions. We can say they're coming, what their name is, 300 jobs. And that's about it.
Well, no, I get, my question was like, in the future, at some point in time, we'll have much better clarity on what all the things and the timings are associated with that. Perhaps at the kind of the official groundbreaking, if you will.
There's supposed to be a groundbreaking in approximately 1 month, at which officialdom from Columbus will be down to participate in that, and hopefully something more will become public at that time.
Good. I want you to lasso, Governor DeWine, and I want to talk to him about local government funds if he happens to make it down here.
He's already been talked to about it. I met with him last Friday.
Beautiful.
Good.
Questions for Mitch on this piece? It's terribly exciting, and I understand we have a lot to do in a short period of time. So 3 readings on this again, Corey?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're not going to be ready to go out to bid.
Okay. And your second was Mrs. Bobbitt on this one as well?
Yep.
Okay. Thank you, Mitch. So we'll go 3 readings on 4919. The next item I have is 5019. That's a resolution to appropriate from the general fund to pay for unplanned 2019 consultant expenses associated with Edie Road expansion project and to issue a then and now certificate. So this is coming through finance, and Mitch, you want to bring us up to speed on this since this is your piece as well?
Yeah, so this is the Edie Road project, widening between Memorial Drive and North Columbus. The money that we're talking about it's not new money. This was something that I had in a carryover purchase order to be used for this project. My government financing is not in depth enough to know that I can't use that if the consultant didn't use it in 2018, and so I need that reappropriated for this to carry through to pay bills for things that are happening right now.
Well, you can if you budget it in 2019 as 2018 is ending. So, but in the way you did it, no, you can't do that. You have to come and get a then and now certificate to say we need to pay for this in 2019. So I understand your timing is suspension on this?
I could, if I could, please.
Okay. Any further questions on this? I think this is the second one of these I think we've had then and now on that project maybe. But nevertheless, I'll ask for suspension on 5019, and Mrs. Downhour will be the second on that. Alrighty, next item I have, thank you, sir. Next item I have is 5119, a resolution to appropriate in the LDOT Improvement Fund 314 in support of Project GWN, coming through finance. And who wants to speak on this particular piece? Mitch does. It's pretty nice, a guy behind you is pointing at you to make you stand up, even though it's specifically the LDOT Improvement Fund.
So this is the piece that's going to set up the budget for a lot of the infrastructure improvements that are happening out in Rock Mill Corporate Park for Project Magna. And as you can see there, there's the one piece there, the Ohio Development Reimbursement, the 1.15 or 1.115 million is a grant through 629. It's a grant that we received today, I think, officially. And then the 1.3 is through the sale of land. And that sets the budget for the infrastructure improvements that we're doing out there for these projects.
And as required by the auditor in the state of Ohio, we have to have accounts to take the money in and expend it as well. So this is what we're doing here. Timing was 2 readings on this. That's still good?
Yeah, that would be perfect, yeah.
Any questions on this? Again, we're developing or creating the expense accounts for the Project GWN improvement project. So we will go 2 readings, and Mrs. Downauer will also second that piece. Thank you, sir. And then Resolution 5219, that's a resolution authorizing the mayor to execute any and all documents to accept the roadwork development 629 grant from the Ohio Development Services Agency in furtherance of Project GWN in the Rockville Industrial Park. Mayor Scheffler, do you want to speak to that, or do you want to just have Mitch do it one more time?
Let's have Mitch do it
One more time, Mitch.
Okay. So we, as in the entire, Mike, the mayor, myself, have been working with the Jobs Ohio folks and working through various cost estimates and preparing cost estimates for this authority that voted on these monies today. And we're going to be executing agreements here in the near future to have that money for reimbursement for us, and so that's what this is in regards to.
Perfect. I mean, it's the grant we got today, which is actually part of the prior resolution to be able to deposit that grant, then also spend it for the project. So it's a terribly exciting thing. I understand from the law director we'd like to suspend on that tonight. Any issues with that around the table? Seeing none, I will ask for suspension, and Mrs. Downauer will second that piece. Very good. Thank you, Mitch. Do we have any departmental updates this evening? Oh, well, why not?
Go for broke.
I think you might have surpassed Mike Nixon for the most trips to the podium.
Okay, I'll make this as quick as I can here. I'm under strict instructions. So I do, obviously we do a lot of work with roadways and road work, and that's the purpose of what you might see in front of you here, the kind of the colorful sheets and things that you may have seen in the past. This is kind of some spreadsheets that I've created, and I just keep updating them year to year as we do various projects, and kind of shows how we're expending the dollars of the 3 mil levy funds. The first sheet essentially is kind of like a little checkbook balance of total projects and how we get down to our figures. And then the following sheet is just basically another spreadsheet that just kind of shows maybe more detail into each project and how those funds are expended. You guys can look at that while I kind of gibberish on here with some of my other things. We did have a bid opening on the 15th for the 2019 paving program. Spires was the low bid with a bid of around $1.15 million. And so Spires has done work in our town here over the past several years with a lot of the paving projects. They're a local firm, and so we're excited to get that project moving and get contracts signed and get them ready to go. I'm just going to do a little update on some other things that are going to be happening here soon. Obviously, the Cedar Hill Road project that is happening out on State Route 188, as well as the intersection of Main and Memorial. Those projects are getting fired up here. Actually, we'll have an on-site meeting tomorrow, and we're looking forward to get that project underway. Some other projects that are out there, obviously the Edie Road project, you guys, we just spoke about that. Today, our consultant just submitted stage 1 plans to ODOT, so we're moving forward with design development, and we still have obviously more things to tackle in terms of right-of-way and right-of-way acquisition, and so that project is moving ahead in the design phase. We've talked about the Rock Mill Corporate Park improvements. That's another project that we are kind of coordinating with, and we're getting design plans put together for that. And the engineer's office is doing some stuff in-house while we're still consulting out other pieces of the project in terms of some soil borings and some design plans on turn lanes and some sewer work out there. So that project is underway, and we're coordinating a lot with ODOT in terms of some traffic studies that are happening in that regional area. So other things in our department that have been kind of, this has kind of taken it's a backseat for right now because we have a lot of projects going on, but the South Columbus Street Bridge, this was a truck strike that happened probably a few months ago on the South Columbus Street Bridge that crosses over the Hocking River. We are trying to, we wish we would have been able to catch the person that hit it and got some insurance funds for that, but we were not able to do that. And so we're actually trying to put together some plans and specs to look for the repairs on that and trying to find a way to fund those repairs because they are significant. So multiple other developments and things that the engineer's office works on, private development stuff, trying to assist other departments in infrastructure improvements. The list goes on and on. We're excited about the right-of-way ordinance and the new hire that we are going to have showing up in my office next Monday. So a week from today, we're going to have a new person in our office that will be kind of helping us develop that right-of-way and get that thing off the ground and hopefully be in front of you folks here this year to get that legislation passed for a new ordinance. So lots of things. Any questions? I'm trying to keep this brief.
Any questions for Mr. Nolan? You know it's my favorite time when you put out that spreadsheet that shows how we spent the money on the levy, in the 3-mill levy project. So I appreciate that. It's very helpful, and it's when you have folks that ask you questions, if you refer back to this, you can give them a lot of really, really good information. So we do a really good job of handling projects where matches are required, and, as well as the ones where we have to pay for it all on our own. And I think you and obviously the team at LDOT have done a wonderful job of managing those monies, in my opinion. So, seeing nothing further, you are excused. Thank you, sir. Appreciate the update.
All right.
Other departmental updates. Any students from Byrne Union want to come to the podium and talk about why they're here? All right, so we don't have no takers back there. All right, so moving on, last chance. I'll defer to President Newell for tonight's meeting prep.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We have temporary resolution 4819 authorizing the Service Safety Director to file paperwork to become a member of NeoRide. This coming through Public Works. Mr. Schoonover.
Can we do like Carrie can't be here for the regular meeting, so not really a departmental update, but speaking on this piece.
Sure.
Get her up here.
It's kind of cool. I sat in this meeting, and the stuff's pretty neat.
I was going to say, I know that tonight's about Mitch Nolan, so Mr. Nolan, would you like to come up and speak to this as well?
I don't think he's officially deferred the podium over to her yet, so I'll defer the rest of my time.
Mr. Schoonover, thank you, members of council. So this company, it's not a company, it's a collaboration, came and actually talked to myself, the mayor, and Mr. Schoonover about a month ago. It's called NeoRide. It stood for Northeast Ohio Ride. And when they first started in 2014, what they were doing was trying to get together a consortium to regionalize transportation. If any of you ever use public transit anywhere in the state of Ohio or otherwise, you know that oftentimes it can be hard to have fares available. So especially for us, we don't have any type of electronic fare system, any type of ticketing. You have to have exact change to ride our buses. That means you have to have a $1, a $2, 25 cents, 50 cents, and you have to have exact change depending on where you're riding and what your fare is, and you have to know that in advance. So again, the NeoRide, the Northeast Ohio Ride, decided last year that they were going to start branching out and start to include other agencies throughout the state of Ohio. And so what this does is it gives us a voting seat on their board, and in this group to decide what type of things that we would like to see in the state of Ohio to regionalize what we're doing in transportation. So for us, the biggest thing is that mobile ticketing and electronic fare type system, because I've been pricing this for the last 3 years, and for us to go out on our own and try and implement some type of electronic fare system is going to be about $120,000 flat fee, and then annual costs on top of that. And those ranged anywhere from $20,000 to $40,000 a year, depending on what type of system that we wanted to use. For us to join the NEO Ride, which they're going to change their name to Ohio Ride, because now again they're trying to get the entire state of Ohio on board, it would cost us $1,000 in dues every year. And then what they do is the cost of the marketing, the software for like the electronic fare systems, and that type, all of those expenses go into a pool. And so then they divvy out the costs per agency based on the size of that agency in the entire pool. So our current cost for that would be $1,371. So our total investment would be $2,371 a year. And then that allows us to, again, be part of that electronic fare system. And then it also allows us to purchase additional equipment if we would so choose. So, for example, the electronic fare system would just be an app that people could download on their phone and prepay fares, and then show our driver their fare when they get on our bus. Now later, if we wanted to do more, we could maybe purchase what are called validators on our buses that would scan with a QR code to validate, yes, that ticket's good, and then we know that person can't use the ticket any longer. So again, for us, eventually we would want to add those validators, but being part of this group would allow us to do that at a much cheaper rate than what we could go out and do on our own. And then the other part of what we are really interested in is they are also, as part of this cost, adding all of our transit systems and information to the transit app. And again, unless you're using public transportation, meaning any type of service other than your own private vehicle, you may not be familiar with this app, but it's an app that's used all over the world. It's in Europe, it's all over the United States. In the state of Ohio currently, the NEO Ride agencies are using it, CODA's using it, but you can go to Washington, D.C. and use it. You can use it in Chicago, and it's going to tell you, if you put in the transit app, you could say you want to get from Lancaster, Ohio into Columbus, and it's going to give you a route and tell you exactly how to do that and what it's going to cost. And so we would then become part of that app. Again, for us to go out and do that on our own, it's extremely expensive, but it's included in these costs to join this NEO Ride program. So again, for us, those are the two things that we are interested in. Again, the total cost to join is just under $2,400. 50% of that is then reimbursed by my federal grants. So my local cost is going to be about $1,200, and we would be using our capital replacement funds to do that. So when we sell our vehicles in the city auction, that money comes back into the transit program because that's required, because they were purchased with federal funds to begin with. So we would be using those funds as our local match to match the federal grants at the other 50%. So that's kind of what we're looking at. Any other purchases that we would make in the future, like those validators for tickets, again, we would put that into other grants in the future, like we do with all of our other capital projects that we currently do in transit. So with that, I will open it up to questions.
Great. Anyone have any questions for Ms. Woody? Well, yes, Mr. Stoughton, yes. You got to wait, gesticulate a bit more. I didn't see you there.
I know I'm not Mitch Nolan, right?
Yes, you're not, no. Go for it.
I just want to make a comment. I mean, I'm just continuing to be amazed at the job that you do with our public transit system and how you reach out to about every avenue to make it better. So thank you for what you're doing. We appreciate it.
Very good.
It's because of Mitch Nolan.
Other thoughts or questions? This is sounds like a great thing, especially given the price tag on it for what we're going to be able to do. So great job getting this put together. Anything else? All right, so how many readings are we looking at, Mr. Schoonover?
3.
3 readings, and who's your second?
Be Becky.
Ms. Teener will second. Thank you very much, Ms. Woody, for being here. Yes. All right, so 3 readings on temporary resolution 48-19. The only other thing I'll mention tonight is, well, 2 things quickly. Mr. McDaniel is absent with prior notice from the meeting. Mr. Groff is ill, and so we'll be looking for a motion to excuse those folks in the main meeting. Additionally, in Mr. Groff's absence, Mr. Schoonover will be introducing the legislation tonight for the public hearing. Other than that, I have nothing more, and I'll turn it back to the chairman.
Thank you, Mr. President. Are there any other items for finance? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So move.
And I'll second it. We are adjourned. It is 6:26.
The regular meeting of Lancaster City Council will begin promptly at 6:30.
Almost everyone needs a car to get from point A to point B, and many families have 2 or more cars. At Carriage Company, located at 1031 North Memorial Drive in Lancaster, we specialize in hard-to-find used cars. Due to the recent success of the new car market, there is a large inventory of used cars available for resale. We can help you find exactly what you're looking for. With over 15 years at this location and 27 years experience in the business, we are the best place to go to find your next car, truck, van, or SUV. As a member of the Better Business Bureau, we are a Carfax Advantage dealer and offer great financing rates through a local area bank, with warranties available on most vehicles. We know your time is valuable, so we take special pride in making sure that you get what you came for at a price that you can afford.
Come into the Carriage Company and check out our sweet deals.
Stop by today and let us help you, or visit us online at carriagecompany.com.
The Frank E. Smith Funeral Home and Crematory in Lancaster and the Johnson Smith Funeral Home in Baltimore have a long and wonderful history of serving our community. Feel free to give us a call at 740-653-0652. Stop in and see us at either of our 2 locations, 405 North Columbus Street in Lancaster or 207 South Main Street in Baltimore. Respect for tradition, regard for change.
There is no place like Lancaster, Ohio and Fairfield County, and like you, I am proud to call them home. As a longtime resident of Lancaster and graduate of Lancaster High School, this community is important to me, and I want to provide superior customer service, professionalism, integrity, and honesty at the Connor Insurance Agency. I am committed to supporting local programs and projects through my volunteer work and board membership with several organizations. It has been a great honor to work with all the first responders throughout Lancaster, Fairfield County, and the state of Ohio to put on Kids and Cops Day, to be a part of Shop with a Cop alongside the Lancaster Police Department and JFS, and to help Lancaster Public Education Foundation raise funds to support our local public schools and teachers. These men and women work hard to protect and support our community, and I would like to take this moment to say thank you for all they do. My goal as a business owner and insurance agent is to provide my clients with the most appropriate services and coverage for their needs at a competitive rate. As an independent agent, I have several carriers to choose from, so I can customize your insurance coverage to fit your needs and desires. I strive to make sure there are no gaps in your coverage that could be harmful, and just as important, that you are not overinsured. I look forward to serving your insurance needs now and in the future. At Connor Insurance, we are here to serve you by protecting what is important to you. Please contact my office at 740-654-2848 for a full list of services and carriers, or visit my website, ConnorInsuranceAgency.com.
Good evening. Welcome to Lancaster City Council. Please join me in a word of prayer. Father, we thank you for this day, for your many, many blessings, and for how you're ever present in our life. We thank you for great news, like we're hearing about business coming into our community. We also together join today as a community to mourn the loss of Specialist Joseph Collette. We pray that during this time you would comfort his family as only you can in the days ahead. We pray that you would lead, guide, and direct us tonight, Lord, in the work that we have before us. We ask that everything that happens here would bring glory to you and be for the betterment of our community. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Amen. I hereby call this meeting of Lancaster City Council to order. As we consider tonight and recite the Pledge of Allegiance, let us remember the sacrifice made by so many Americans and the one just recently made by Specialist Collette, who gave all in the defense of liberty and freedom. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. You may be seated. Please call the roll.
Mr. Bowes?
Here.
Mrs. Bobbitt?
Here.
Mrs. Downauer? Here. Mr. Groff? Mr. McDaniel? Mr. Schoonover?
Here.
Mr. Stoughton? Here. Mrs. Teener? Here.
Let the record reflect that 7 of 9 members of council are in attendance this evening.
Mr.
Yes, Mr.
I'd like to make a motion that we excuse Mr. Groff.
Excuse Mr. Groff?
Yeah. Should we put both of them in
We
the same?
sure can if you want to.
Mr. Groff and Mr. McDaniel.
Very good. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second to excuse Mr. Groff and Mr. McDaniel. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Reading and disposing of the journal.
I'd like to present the regular meeting minutes dated March 11th, 2019.
Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion to receive and file the journal.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to receive and file the journal. Is there any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Reports of city officials.
Email dated March 13th, 2019 regarding the City of Lancaster Community Development Block Grant Program submitted by Mary Jo Smith, Executive Director, Lancaster Community Development Department. Email dated March 25th, 2019 regarding Council Tonight submitted by Mr. Groff. Email dated March 25th, 2019 regarding CDBG Activities Report submitted by Mary Jo Smith, Executive Director, Lancaster Community Development Department.
Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion to receive and file the reports of city officials.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to receive and file the reports of city officials. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Are there any communications?
There are two. Notice to the Legislative Authority of a transfer of a liquor license from Thomas J. Dunnington and Ralph Michael Ankrum, doing business as Dog House Tavern, located at 701 Reese Avenue in Patio, Lancaster, Ohio, 43130, to DG2 Properties, LLC, doing business as Dog House Tavern, same location, submitted by the Ohio Division of Liquor Control, 6606 Tussing Road, Reynoldsburg, and an email dated March 12, 2019, regarding a letter and supporting documents regarding electronic monitoring from Carrie Brown, Fairfield County Commissioners, County Administrator.
Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion to receive and file the communications.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to receive and file communications. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Tonight we have a special presentation by the mayor, and so we will turn it over to him for tonight.
Thank you, President Uhl. I would like to take pleasure in announcing that the name of our longtime secret plant coming to town is Magna Seating of America. I would invite you to visit their website. It's a pretty impressive company. We had a lot of partners in landing this plant. We first started meeting with them last October, was their first visit to Lancaster, and we've had a number of visits. A lot of coordination with Jobs Ohio, Columbus 2020, the Fairfield County Commissioners, the Lancaster Area Community Improvement Corporation, the Lancaster Port Authority, and others in making this deal happen. I would especially like to commend Mike Pettit because nobody really knows how much work goes into a deal like this. Coordinating gathering of data, coordinating meetings, getting late evening phone calls or messages saying we need this data by 10 o'clock tomorrow morning. And he pulled it off very successfully. We were at first up against 3 other states, and one by one we kept rising to the final 2 and then the final 1. So I'm happy to announce, and I do have a video that explains a little bit about what's going to be going on in the plant here in Lancaster. And
Campsite is a world-class supplier of seat mechanisms. Our core commodities include seat tracks, recliners, and fully integrated structures. We have 2 facilities located in Newmarket, Ontario. In addition, we've added, and exciting to add, a 3rd facility located just out of Toledo in Ohio. So if you look at a seat in a vehicle, if you tear down the leather and the foam, you're left with the structure, and that's what we produce at Campsite. I like to call it the backbone of the seat. We're on target to be just under 1,000 employees this year. We're right around 250,000 square feet with the 3 facilities within our division. Our strength by far, without a doubt, is our people, and more specifically, the diversity of our people. We're uniquely located just outside of Toronto, which is, well known globally for being one of the most diverse cities in the world. It creates a challenge with respect to communication, but we see that as a strength. What separates Campsite from the competition by far is balance. Our priorities are quite clear. There's 3 of them: leadership development, world-class manufacturing, and innovation. What we found a way to do here at Campsite is really match an innovative product with a unique manufacturing solution. And when you match that with a great leadership team, it's a recipe for success. World-class manufacturing touches every aspect of our business. I think one great example is what we're doing with laser welds. We've implemented a process called 4D Weld Watcher, and what that weld watcher does, it monitors 100% of our laser welds. It creates a unique signature, which in turn, when we match it with our health charts and upper-lower control limits, it ensures the integrity of that weld 100% of the time. We feel it's quickly becoming a benchmark in the industry. This year, we're excited to launch our new innovations on the MetaTrack and the iDisc 4. When you compare those 2 products from previous generation, they're lighter, they're stronger, and they're fitting a footprint that our customers need. In addition, we're really starting to receive positive market feedback on the commodity we're launching with the new GM SUV. In particular, what the commodity does and the product does for the field, in the 2nd row, it allows the seat structure to move forward and rearward, allowing more access to the 3rd row. It's going great, the sales are strong, and the market's perceiving and receiving it quite well. Sustainability is critical for us for the future. 2 programs that we've launched and are having great success with is our GROW program, and the 2nd one is the Green Hour. The GROW program really taps into every employee in the facility. It gives each employee an opportunity to submit an idea, and with that idea, they can impact the future of Campsite. The Green Hour is a new initiative this year for us. Again, it's directly linked to a result. You hit the result, you get the reward, and it goes right back to the employee. So we're excited about the initiative to really sustain the future for Campsite. We're here for the long run. We're going to get better every day, and we've got a bright future.
so the focus now turns to Mitch Boland. I don't know if he's still here or not, but he's got a large monkey on his back getting infrastructure, traffic studies, et cetera, done. There will be a fast-track plant construction, and now workforce will be a big focus in where the 300 workers that they're going to hire in the beginning come from and get trained. So again, we're extremely happy about this, excited to have Magna here. Should be a great teamwork from everybody, and a great benefit to the city of Lancaster.
Thank you very much, Mayor. Does anyone have any questions or comments? Well, I'll just briefly say congratulations to you and to Economic Development Director Pettit and to the great number of organizations that were a part of making this a reality. An innovative, industry standard-setting company that's coming to Lancaster with 300 jobs is not a small thing. It's a big deal, and I think how this has all come about is a testament to how everyone is working together to move the city forward. And so congratulations to you and your team on a really successful venture here. Very cool. Anyone else have anything? All right. Well, thank you very much, Mayor. And as possible, is that we can find that on a website or others want to?
Video?
Yeah.
I have it on a flash drive. I don't know that it's on their website. I haven't dug into their website that deeply to see if it's there.
But folks can go to their website and learn more about the company and what's going on.
Right.
Very good. Okay. Well, thank you very much, Mayor. We will move ahead then. Are there any petitions or memorials?
There are none to be presented.
At this time during our meeting, we set time aside for the voters and taxpayers of Lancaster to address City Council on any item or issue that you would like. If you'd like to address City Council tonight, we ask that you come forward to the podium, sign in with your name and address, and then state the name for the record. State the same for the record. If you are going to comment tonight, we ask that in accordance with the rules of council, you keep your comments to 5 minutes or less. In addition, we'll note that while at a later time in the meeting, City Council members may choose to address your comments or concerns, they will not do so during this portion of the meeting. Finally, I'll just note that we do have a public hearing tonight, and if you're here to speak regarding the public hearing content, we'll ask that you hold your comments until that time. However, if anyone would like to speak on any other issue, we ask that you would come to the podium at this time. Is there anyone who'd like to address City Council tonight? Yes, sir. Sir, you can sign in after your comments if you want to just state your name and address for the record.
I'm signed in. My name is William Good, 3137 Meister Road, Lancaster, Ohio.
Go ahead, sir.
I would like to start, and I know the City Council is not answering questions, but I would like you to consider for yourselves if you've ever heard of or know the activities of Patriot Front, Proud Boys, 3%, Communist Action, or Adam Waffen Division. So hate groups are on the rise, and hate crimes and white supremacy on the rise across the country and around the world. According to the Southern Poverty Law Center, there are over 1,000 hate groups across the country. And while we may think those groups are operating in some far-off corner away from us, like New Zealand or Charlottesville, and that we're relatively safe from their actions, we are not. We've been targeted here in our community. Recently, the neo-Nazi hate group Patriot Front set a campaign against our community, attaching propaganda posters to American flagpoles in our downtown area. They targeted the American flagpole in front of this very building. You can see the remnants of it on your way out tonight. They also attacked a flag across from the Sherman House and around the corner from a Hood's Pub at the corner of Columbus and Main Street. We've seen actions such as the racist graffiti spray painted under bridges, vandalizing the mural on the walking paths. That was dismissed as the actions of delinquent children, which it probably was. This action was not delinquent children, however. This was an organized attack. Delinquent kids don't go to the effort of having posters professionally printed. I have pictures of one here. Further, we have seen similar acts occurring by the same group in Circleville, Zanesville, Newark, as well as routine distribution of their literature and flyers on the campus of Ohio State and surrounding neighborhoods in Columbus. Their literature is deceptively patriotic and very difficult to remove. The remnants of their vile acts may still be seen disgracing the flagpoles in the mentioned areas. It is pertinent for our community to guard against their attacks and spread of their sick messaging to citizens and our children who are often targeted by these groups for recruitment. I don't pretend to sit here and tell law enforcement officials how to do their job. However, attempts to assist them have been unheeded. On March 9th, the group Showing Up for Racial Justice, or SURGE of Lancaster and Fairfield County, held a class identifying hate group symbols. An invitation was sent to the Lancaster Police Department to attend or send a representative. There was no response from the police department. However, on the day of that presentation, Lancaster Police was asked to attend due to threats received against that group. Sergeant Rain confirmed he was not aware of who this group was, but he did have an officer stop by for security purpose, and this was greatly appreciated. He recommended contacting Sergeant Hall, the community liaison officer, about the issues regarding training. Several phone calls were sent to Sergeant Hall, and voicemails were left unreturned. We next contacted Captain Seaholtz, who was also unfamiliar with Patriot Front, and he referred us back to Sergeant Hall. Due to these contacts, it's apparent that the Lancaster Police Department is unaware of or disinterested in addressing the hate groups and their organized actions in our community. Therefore, it's unlikely that the officers would recognize the vandalism and threat for what it is. Addressing these issues now, before they progress from vandalism to violence, would be benefit for everyone's safety. In terms of economics, it would serve the community to welcome the business, economic growth, and property value increases that diversity has to offer. In light of the organized attack on our community and lack of knowledge by our law enforcement and we assume the City Council, we would like to suggest these issues be addressed by the following actions. 1, an officer to be appointed as the lead officer in tracking the activities of these groups in our community to serve as a liaison to the community. All law enforcement and elected leaders to be educated on recognizing the hate groups in our area and their activities. Law enforcement officers to be screened for participation in any of these hate groups, including anti-government militias, to include 3%, Patriot Movement, and Oath Keepers. Any officer found to be a member or associated with these groups in person or online should be asked to denounce their membership in associations or face reprimand or termination. It's unknown at this time whether this is a part of the hiring screening process, but it should be, and we ask that the city safety director or persons responsible implement this screening into law enforcement, fire department, and EMS hiring practices.
Sir, you've got about 10 seconds.
The city should take action to counter the propaganda spread by hate groups with a counter-advertising campaign such as We Welcome Diversity on our city limits or billboard in prominent location for diversity or against hate. A copy of these requests and evidence of vandalism is provided to the City Council, and we will return the next scheduled City Council meeting to hear which any of these requests were acted on.
Thank you, Mr. Good. Is there anyone else who would like to address Lancaster City Council this evening? Yes, sir. You can bring it on over, sir. Thank you.
Picture of the flyer that was in front of our building, this building.
Understood.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Go ahead, sir.
Good evening. My name is David McKinstry. I am a resident of 604 North High Street here in Lancaster. Being a relatively new resident, I'm here simply to ask some questions about a curb and sidewalk replacement program that may or may not exist within the city. I'm familiar with a program where there was a certain dollar amount allocated per year for sidewalk replacement. It was used as a first come, first served by residents. It was a 50% residents paid and 50% funded out of that allocated funds. Once that money was depleted for the year, the program ceased until it was again funded for the following year. I am going to assume that I'm going to probably initially be told that there is no money allocated or available to be allocated from the general fund for sidewalk replacement. So I would then ask whether there is a grant writing program in the city, and if so, whether those grants have been searched for either under beautification programs or safety programs or ADA programs to allow the funding of sidewalk and curb replacement within the city.
Thank you very much, sir. Again, members of council won't answer questions now. They may choose to do so later. I'd also encourage you to connect with the Service Safety Director after the meeting, who can probably answer some of your questions this evening. Is there anyone else who'd like to address Lancaster City Council? Well, thank you each for being here tonight. We will then move on to reports of standing committees.
I have one, Finance Committee meeting minutes for March 25th, 2019, submitted by Mr. Stoughton.
Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion to receive and file the reports of standing committees.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to receive and file the reports of standing committees. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Are there reports of special committees?
There are none to be presented.
If not, we do have a public hearing this evening, which I will now call to order. In just a few moments, I'll ask the clerk to read the preamble for Temporary Resolution 45-19. After she does so, I will turn over for this evening for comment to Mr. Schoonover, who will give us a little bit of information regarding what this legislation is about. After that, we will open the podium for both proponents, and then after proponents, opponents. After proponents speak and then opponents speak, there will be an opportunity for rebuttal, where once again proponents and opponents will be permitted to speak. However, you must have spoken the first time during the proponent or opponent opportunity in order to speak during the second opportunity that comes during rebuttal. After that, I will turn it back over to Mr. Schoonover for just a moment for any closing comments he may have, and then we will close this public hearing. With that, I will ask the clerk to read the preamble.
A resolution approving an application for placement of farmland in an agricultural district pursuant to Ohio Revised Code Section 929.02, offered by Mr. Goff, second by Mr. Schoonover.
Mr. Schoonover.
Yeah, I got thrown into this one, but and I was going to say exactly what she said. So we received an application, or the clerk received an application on March 4th to add this piece of farmland off of Duffy Road into the agricultural district. So that's why we're here to have this public hearing.
Thank you, Mr. Schoonover. With that, we will open up for proponent testimony. Those who are in favor of Temporary Resolution 45-19, this is your opportunity to come and speak. Is there anyone who would like to speak in favor of this resolution? Okay, if not, is there any opponent who would like to speak against Temporary Resolution 45-19? Seeing none, we have then no opportunity for rebuttal, and I will turn it back to Mr. Schoonover for any closing comments he may have.
That pretty much summed it up.
Very good. I'm being informed that a certified letter was sent out to the property owner. It's just one property owner impacted, I believe, and that letter was signed for, so they were aware of the meeting tonight. With that, and with Mr. Schoonover's closing comments, we will now close this public hearing. We'll now move to the reading of resolutions, beginning with the third reading of Temporary Resolution 35-19.
A resolution authorizing the Service Safety Director to enter into an agreement with ODOT to purchase sodium chloride rock salt for the 2019 through 2020 winter season, offered by Mr. Schoonover, second by Mrs. Bobbitt.
Mr. Schoonover.
Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion that council pass, engross, and enter upon the written record resolution temporary, where did I go, 35-19.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to pass, engross, and enter upon the written record temporary resolution 35-19. Mr. Schoonover.
This is a yearly piece from LDOT for rock salt, so we're going to pass this, and then next year it'll be at the beginning with all the housekeeping pieces.
Very good. Further discussion on the motion to pass. Please call the roll.
Mr. Baus?
Yes.
Mrs. Bobbitt?
Yes.
Mrs. Downauer?
Yes.
Mr. Schoonover?
Yes.
Mr. Stoughton?
Yes.
Mrs. Teener?
Yes.
Mr. Woodard?
Yes.
Temporary Resolution 35-19 passes 7-0. We now have second reading on a series of resolutions, beginning with Temporary Resolution 39-19.
A resolution authorizing the Service Safety Director to advertise for bids to enter into a contract for the Fetters Run Stream Restoration and Sanitary Improvement Project, offered by Mr. Woodard, second by Mr. Bowes.
Mr. Woodard.
And again, this is the one where we have the manhole cover and everything. We have to work on the Fetters Run Stream, $300,000, and we will be asking for suspension tonight.
Very good. So what is your pleasure?
Okay, Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion that council suspend its rules and regulations and, wait a minute, got to get to the right one here. Okay. Rules and waive the third reading of temporary resolution 3919.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to suspend the rules and waive the third reading of Temporary Resolution 39-19. Further discussion, Mr. Woodard?
None.
Any other discussion on the motion to suspend? Please call the roll.
Mr. Bowes?
Yes.
Mrs. Bobbitt?
Yes.
Mrs. Downhour?
Yes.
Mr. Schoonover?
Yes.
Mr. Stoughton?
Yes.
Mrs. Teener?
Yes.
Mr. Woodard?
Yes.
Motion to suspend carries 7-0. Mr. Woodard?
Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion that council pass and engross and enter upon the written record temporary resolution 3919.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to pass, engross, and enter upon the written record Temporary Resolution 39-19. Further discussion? Mr. Woodard?
None.
Other discussion on the motion to pass? Please call the roll.
Mr. Bowes?
Yes.
Mrs. Bobbitt?
Yes.
Mrs. Downhour?
Yes.
Mr. Schoonover?
Yes.
Mr. Stoughton?
Yes.
Mrs. Teener?
Yes.
Mr. Woodard?
Yes.
Temporary Resolution 39-19 passes 7-0. Temporary Resolution 40-19.
A resolution to appropriate from the unencumbered balance in the Sanitation Fund 605 and amend the certificate of appropriations with the county auditor, offered by Mrs. Bobbitt, second by Mrs. Teener.
Mrs. Bobbitt.
Give me that number again.
Second.
This is 40-19. I believe our second reading is in order.
It's second reading.
Thank you very much. Second reading on Temporary Resolution 40-19. Temporary Resolution 41-19.
A resolution authorizing the Service Safety Director to waive competitive bidding for the Pioneer Alley Storm Sewer Replacement Project and to declare an emergency, offered by Mr. Woodard, second by Mr. Bowes.
Mr. Woodard.
Again, this is a resolution in order to allow for the go ahead with the competitive bidding for the alley project, and I will be asking for suspension. Mr. President, I would like to make a motion that council suspend its rules and waive the third reading of temporary resolution 4119.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to waive the rules. You've got me all kerflutzed up here now, Mr. Woodard.
He had me.
We have a motion and a second to suspend the rules and waive the third reading of Temporary Resolution 41-19. Further discussion, Mr. Woodard?
Remember, I missed the last meeting.
I know, yes.
No further discussion.
Other discussion on the motion to suspend? Please call the roll.
Mr. Bowes?
Yes.
Mrs. Bobbitt?
Yes.
Mrs. Downhour?
Yes.
Mr. Schoonover?
Yes.
Mr. Stoughton?
Yes.
Mrs. Teener?
Yes.
Mr. Woodard?
Yes.
Motion to suspend carries 7-0. Mr. Woodard?
Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion that council pass, engross, and enter upon the written temporary resolution 4119.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to pass, engross, and enter upon the written record Temporary Resolution 41-19. Further discussion, Mr. Woodard?
No, and one of the problems is I expected Mr. Nixon to be here to go over this, and so that's why we're having a little problem here.
Okay, very good. Further discussion on the
None.
motion to pass? Please call the roll.
Mr. Bowes?
Yes.
Mrs. Bobbitt?
Yes.
Mrs. Downhour?
Yes.
Mr. Schoonover?
Yes.
Mr. Stoughton?
Yes.
Mrs. Teener?
Yes.
Mr. Woodard?
Yes.
Temporary Resolution 41-19 passes 7-0. Temporary Resolution 42-19.
A resolution authorizing the Service Safety Director to advertise for bids and enter into a contract for the Montank Drive Culvert Replacement Project, offered by Mr. Woodard, second by Mr. McDaniel.
Mr. Woodard?
Second reading.
Second to 3 readings on Temporary Resolution 42-19.
Thank goodness.
Temporary Resolution 44-19.
A resolution to increase receipts appropriate from the unencumbered balance in the Improvement Fund 317, amend the certificate of other sources and appropriations with the county auditor, and issue a then and now, offered by Mr. Stoughton, second by Mr. McDaniel.
Mr. Stoughton?
Thank you, Mr. President. Second reading, please.
Second reading on Temporary Resolution 44-19. Temporary Resolution 45-19.
A resolution approving an application for placement of farmland in an agricultural district pursuant to the Ohio Revised Code 929.02, offered by Mr. Groff, second by Mr. Schoonover.
Mr. Schoonover.
Second of 3 readings, please.
Second to 3 readings on temporary resolution 45-19. We now have first reading on a series of resolutions, beginning with temporary resolution 47-19.
A resolution to appropriate from the unencumbered balance in the LDOT Fund 208 and amend the certificate with the county auditor, offered by Mr. Schoonover, second by Mrs. Bobbitt.
Mr. Schoonover.
This be the first of 3 readings, please.
First reading on temporary resolution 47-19. Temporary resolution 48-19.
A resolution authorizing the Service Safety Director to execute a membership agreement and bylaws to become a member of NeoRide and Ohio Council of Governments, offered by Mr. Schoonover, second by Mrs. Teener.
Mr. Schoonover.
First of 3 readings, please.
First of 3 readings on temporary resolution 48-19. Temporary resolution 49-19.
A resolution to authorize the Service Safety Director to advertise for bids and enter into a multiple construction agreements for the improvement project known as Rockmill Corporate Park Phase 2, Part 3, in conjunction with development of Project GWN and Project Charge, offered by Mr. Schoonover, second by Mrs. Bobbitt.
Mr. Schoonover.
First of 3 readings, please.
First of 3 readings on temporary resolution 49-19. Temporary resolution 50-19.
A resolution to appropriate from the unencumbered balance in the General Fund 101, amend the certificate of appropriations with the county auditor, and issue a then and now, offered by Mr. Stoughton, second by Mrs. Downauer.
Mr. Stoughton.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to make a motion that council suspend its rules and waive the second and third reading of resolution temporary 50-19.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to suspend the rules and waive the second and third reading of temporary resolution 50-19. Mr. Stoughton.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. At the end of 2018, we were working on our, I think our public right-of-way regulations, and the purchase order was closed at the end of 2018, and the money's carried over into 2019, as did some of the work. The work has now been completed. We need to reappropriate that money to pay the bill and actually issue the purchase order and then pay the subsequent bill for the work that's been completed. We're asking for suspension because we have a bill in hand.
Very good. Thank you, Mr. Stoughton. Further discussion on the motion to suspend. Please call the roll.
Mr. Bowes?
Yes.
Mrs. Bobbitt?
Yes.
Mrs. Downauer?
Yes.
Mr. Schoonover?
Yes.
Mr. Stoughton?
Yes.
Mrs. Teener?
Yes.
Mr. Woodard?
Yes.
Motion to suspend carries 7-0. Mr. Stoughton.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to make a motion that council pass, engross, and enter upon the written record resolution temporary 50-19.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to pass, engross, and enter upon the written record temporary resolution 50-19. Further discussion, Mr. Stoughton?
No, thank you.
Other discussion on the motion to pass. Please call the roll.
Mr. Bowes?
Yes.
Mrs. Bobbitt?
Yes.
Mrs. Downauer?
Yes.
Mr. Schoonover?
Yes.
Mr. Stoughton?
Yes.
Mrs. Teener?
Yes.
Mr. Woodard?
Yes.
Temporary resolution 50-19 passes 7-0. Temporary resolution 51-19.
A resolution to increase receipts appropriate from the unencumbered balance in the LDOT Improvement Fund 314, amend the certificate of other sources and appropriations with the county auditor, and issue a then and now, offered by Mr. Stoughton, second by Mrs. Downauer.
Mr. Stoughton.
Thank you, Mr. President. This will be the first of 2 readings, please.
First of 2 readings on temporary resolution 51-19. Temporary resolution 52-19.
A resolution authorizing the mayor to execute any and all documents necessary to accept the Roadwork Development 629 grant from the Ohio Development Services Agency in furtherance of Project GWN in the Rockmill Industrial Park, offered by Mr. Stoughton, second by Mrs. Downauer.
Mr. Stoughton.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to make a motion that council suspend its rules and waive the second and third reading of resolution temporary 52-19.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to suspend the rules and waive the second and third reading of temporary resolution 52-19. Mr. Stoughton.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. Today, or this morning, the Ohio Development Services Agency did approve the $1.115 million grant to the city for this project, specifically in support of Project GWN, of which we now know to be Magna, coming to the city to provide a wonderful economic development opportunity. I'm asking for suspension so we can collect that as soon as entirely possible.
Very good. Further discussion on the motion to suspend. Please call the roll.
Mr. Bowes?
Yes.
Mrs. Bobbitt?
Yes.
Mrs. Downauer?
Yes.
Mr. Schoonover?
Yes.
Mr. Stoughton?
Yes.
Mrs. Teener?
Yes.
Mr. Woodard?
Yes.
Motion to suspend passes 7-0. Mr. Stoughton.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to make a motion that council pass, engross, and enter upon the written record resolution temporary 52-19.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to pass, engross, and enter upon the written record temporary resolution 52-19. Further discussion, Mr. Stoughton.
No, thank you.
Other discussion on the motion to pass. please call the roll.
Mr. Bowes?
Yes.
Mrs. Bobbitt?
Yes.
Mrs. Downhour?
Yes.
Mr. Stoughton?
Yes.
Mr. Schoonover? I
Yes.
apologize. I'm doing it backwards. Mr. Stoughton? Mrs. Teener?
Yes.
Mr. Woodard?
Yes.
Temporary resolution 52-19 passes 7-0. Are there any further resolutions to come before City Council this evening? Seeing none, we have no ordinances before us tonight. We also have no tabled legislation. We will move straight into unfinished business. Is there any unfinished business this evening? Seeing none, is there any new business this evening? Ms. Teener.
Yes, I'd like to address the gentleman about the sidewalks. We have a code enforcement meeting Monday at 7:30 in the basement of City Hall. We will be discussing the sidewalks anyway. I had planned on putting that on the agenda because CDBG money is coming available that we could use towards infrastructure, and part of that is sidewalks. I've spoken with our the grant lady that we have now, and we've discussed some options.
Very good, Ms. Teener. Yes, Mr. Martin.
Just to let you know, we no longer have a lower basement conference room that's been moved to second floor of City Hall. So
that is
we,
right. We're
we have a
upstairs.
new, it's in the second floor in the future. So just any conference that's being used in City Hall will be at second floor. And we'll have that door open. It's an old courtroom that was used. So we have that ready. We've already moved Planning Commission there, and we're able to host that meeting on Monday.
So now I can fall up the stairs instead of down the
that's what I was
stairs.
gonna tell you.
Well, you can fall down them on the way out.
I'm going to take the elevator.
That just means it's easier for her to bring donuts to the meeting.
I think that's right.
And there is video of this too. It's,
The conference room's beautiful. The mayor had me up there the other day, and very well put together. And so any meeting that was previously in the lower level will now be up on that second floor. Very good. Thank you. So further new business this evening. Ms. Teener.
And to address the gentleman that spoke, I was not aware of this. I'm not on Facebook, and I don't recall anything being in the paper about this, about what you were discussing. How long ago has this been going on here in town with the signs and that?
Those would have been put up in late February, early March, and I spent a week or so trying to contact the Lancaster Police Department about it. Never got a return, so I decided I would take it to the City Council and let you all in on it. I don't know that it was ever reported to the Police Department as a vandalism report. I know I didn't fill out a report with them. I just spoke to the officers on the phone, and I doubt that, if it wasn't reported, then I doubt that it was reported in the newspaper either.
How many signs were out?
There were three. One, and they targeted the flagpoles, the American flagpole. So the flagpoles here in the downtown area, one's around the corner over there by Woods, one right in front of this building, and then the one in front of the Sheraton House.
Okay. Thank you.
Sure.
Okay, is there further new business this evening? Yes, Ms. Bobbitt.
I just have a further question. Did the city remove those signs that you know of?
I wasn't even aware of them, so
Okay.
I don't know. First
So-
time I heard of it.
I would give permission as a service safety director, like right now, because of the fallen soldier, I gave permission to relatives to put the black and yellow ribbons up Main Street from Memorial. And so any poles or light posts or something like that actually has to come through my office. I don't remember saying anything. I'm not saying they weren't there, but I would not be authorizing anything like that, and then we would also have them removed. So if you ever see them up again, feel free to contact my office, Service Safety Director, and we can get things. I'll kind of pay attention to that because we are opposed to the extremist groups, no question about that. So thank you for making us aware of that.
The ones that were put up, citizens have tried to remove them. They're very sticky, so they kind of shred if you try to peel them off. And but the remnants are still there on those flagpoles. Can't get all of it off, so it's still there if you want to see it.
Thank you, sir. Is there further new business this evening? Seeing no new business, we'll move on to the announcement of scheduled meetings.
Next regular session of council, April 8th, and the meeting following, April 22nd. Both those meetings at 6:30 here in council chambers. Upcoming committee meetings, code enforcement, April 1st at 7:30 a.m. in the City Hall second floor conference room. The IT Telecom, April 4th at 7:30 a.m. at the Annex Building Conference Room. Finance Committee, April 8th at 6 p.m. Council Chambers. Law Committee, April 10th at 9 a.m. in the Fairfield County Municipal Court Community Room. Pardon me. Public Works, April 12th at 7:30 a.m. at the Lancaster Public Transit Conference Room. Water Pollution Control, April 17th at 7 a.m. at the Water Pollution Control Conference Room. And finally, Finance Committee, April 22nd here at 6 p.m. in Council Chambers.
I'll just mention briefly, as I heard the clerk reading the Law Committee announcement for April 10th, that Mr. Groff did send me a message that they're working on the request that we made about our rules and what we can do regarding meeting attendance. And so it's possible that after that meeting we'll have more information. Are there any bills?
There are two. The first, both are to PNC MNCO. The first is for publication of ordinances, and that's $165.40, and the other is for the publication of the notice for the public hearing is $53.30.
Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion to pay the bills.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to pay the bills. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Is there a need for an executive session tonight? Seeing none, a motion to adjourn is in order.
Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adjourn the meeting. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We are adjourned. Please remember to sign your legislation. Thank you very much.